Hello everyone, welcome back to a new episode of Zero Escape 999, all of these things. Last time we left, all 4 people were dead. And time passed. Junpei wept, curled around Connie's body. He cried and cried until he had no tears left. When the last tear fell, Junpei was no more. His body remained, but only as an empty shell. Huh? Interesting. Somewhere he heard a bell ring. It was the clock at the central staircase. Okay, I thought we were going somewhere wild, like my soul was escaping my body, but no, I think that was just, showing how depressed Junpei was. Rang 5 times, then faded. Quietly, gently, softly, he set Kane down on the floor. Slowly, Junpei stood. Only then did he realize that Seven and Lotus had not followed him. Where had they gone? Slowly he looked around the room. There was nothing. No sign that they had ever been there. It felt as though every part of Junpei's body was made of lead. Slowly he made his way to the door he'd come through. As he approached it, it opened, sliding apart with a sound like grinding stone. Junpei passed through the gate and into the hallway. Oh. His heart rattled in his chest, an empty, lifeless thing. I mean, I kind of expected maybe this had happened, seeing as everyone else is dead. So leaving them alone, yeah, I guess I'm the last one left, huh? Have I been the killer the whole time? Well, I wouldn't have been able to kill the other ones. It had been so utterly broken that there was nothing left to feel. When he saw their bodies, he simply stared. It was a lake, a sea of blood. 2 bodies lay in it. There was no need to check. There was no breath left in them. His eyes lit on Lotus's wrist. Her bracelet. It was gone. He stared. It meant nothing to him. He didn't care anymore. He couldn't care anymore. Junpei's body felt numb. Part of him knew the lump of lead in his chest had once been a heart. He couldn't quite remember what it had been for. Tears poured from his eyes in great streams. He wasn't sure why. He gave up trying to make them stop. He turned around. The door opened again, and slowly, numbly, he walked through. He kept walking. Why stop? An object set in motion, simple inertia carried him forward. Eventually, he found himself in front of the submarine. His arm reached for the hatch. And that's when I die. And then he was floating in water. His eyes stared down into it. He couldn't see the bottom. His back was hot. Dimly, he felt the blade of a knife in it. Whew. One dead body lay behind door number 5. The body of the 9th man. Another lay in the shower room. The body of Snake. The central staircase were 3 more. Ace, Santa, and Clover. Just outside the door were 2 corpses, those of Seven and Lotus. And in this very room lay the body that had once been Connie. And now Junpei would join them. Who then had killed them all? Who? I mean, Junpei let out one last breath. Faintly, he felt the bubbles creep up to the side of his face. I mean, who could it possibly be besides previous test subjects? A ghost? Like a ghost? Zero? Or like, possibly one of the other people weren't actually dead and were just faking it and killed everybody. Felt the bubbles creep up the side of his face. His consciousness faded quickly, dissolving away into the cold, gentle lapping of the water. Bad end. Oh, yeah, bad end. For sure, for sure. For real, for real. Okay, I mean, I kind of expected that would be how things were going. Wow, I picked an interesting spot to stop last time. I picked a very, very interesting spot to stop last time. We hit credits within 5 minutes. So I'm imagining there's obviously way more to see here. That's like getting the first ending in a Nier game, basically, is how that feels to me. Because currently, it's like, we don't have a lot of context for how that even could have happened. I'm guessing it's something to do with the frequencies and the experiments that were mentioned. But who's to say currently? That is for smarter people to theorize, not me. I mean, like I said, it's like either one of them was faking it. That was just Zero just killing us for some reason. Or, you know, there's something weird going on with, like, I don't know. We never even saw door 9. We found a submarine. Maybe we came to the wrong area. Maybe this was the incorrect zone to find ourselves in. Maybe we disobeyed the rules somehow, but then our bracelets would have exploded. The end. Or is it? No, it's not the end. Alright. What do we got? So now I go see the other paths, right? You've reached one ending. This game has multiple endings. In order to experience all the endings, you need to play through the game multiple times. Make sure to save your progress now to retain all information you've acquired. Memory of Escape has been added to the title screen. Memory of Escape allows you to replay the escape rooms you've completed. Would you like to save the info you obtained during this playthrough? After saving, the game will restart from the beginning. Please select the save slot. Well, obviously I want to put it in a new save slot. Access the flowchart. Okay. So yeah, I can see the path that I took forward. Okay. How does this work? Let's see, because I started here. Novel, escape, escape. And then we could continue forward this way. And then that's I'm guessing my ending point. Or is it no, it's probably more so this. We start here. And then there's my first branch. And then there's the 3-way branch. And then there's another 3-way branch. In submarine. Yeah, okay. I did not mean to do that. Flow. Okay. So this is cool. I always love when games have this sort of option available to you, where you can just jump back at any point. I love that. Tactics Ogre had it, and it was phenomenal. So, yeah, why don't we go ahead and jump back to this. The 4 and 5 doors. Even with the specter of death hanging over them, the discussions continued. Yeah, this is when we were all sitting at the staircase talking. I want like a little bit of context. Yeah, all we're doing is talking. Okay, I think I remember this. Got 7.5 hours left. Yeah, this is when they were all arguing about that stuff. How do you skip forward? I was hoping you could kind of skip to the actual decision. That's right. All 8 of us can't go in. Yeah. I was expecting there to be like a rimpy skip stuff you've already seen before option. Okay. So now I have to choose which door I actually want to go through next. There has to be a skip option. Yeah, 8365. What would our digital route be? So, why is 4 grayed out? Is that because that's the one I chose last time? So, 83, 11, 17, and then 23, 23, so 5. No way we can pass through door 4.
8たす3、22の数字根は2たす2イコール4か。
He repeated what he
4だ。
determined.
残った4人のバングルナンバーを足すと。
じゃあその4人で。
ああ。もう5の扉に入るのはセブン、ニルス、四つ葉、一宮の4人。
Okay, is this where I get the opportunity to
ヤシロ
go through the other door instead?
だが
I think so.
この扉の先には二度と見た
Yeah, 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 yeah. This is it. This is it.
当然紫飛んだ。この流れのままに、あるいは
さて、それでは君、私は5。
私
こらこら。俺は
No.
どっちのと。
Nope. We gotta decide that it had to be door 5. Okay, so it grays out the options that you picked before. That's what it does. Nice, nice. That's convenient.
待ってくれ。
Junpei's cry echoed across the room, so this is all new stuff now. 4 people walking toward the door stopped and turned back towards him.
5の扉に入らせてくれ。
The words were scarcely out of his mouth when June spoke up.
ちょっと何言ってるんですか順平くん。だったら私も一緒に行きます。
He turned around to look at her.
お前を連れて行くわけにはいかない。
なんでですか。
あの現場に踏み込むことになるんだぞ。耐えられるのかよ。
それは。
June opened her mouth as if to say something, but instead closed it again and looked at the floor. Junpei felt an ache in his chest at her clear distress, but the choice was not his to make. There was nothing else he could do. Junpei turned away from June, doing his best to silence his turbulent emotions.
頼む。5の扉に入らせてくれ。
Seven scratched his head and looked at the young man.
参ったな。振り出しに戻っちまったじゃねえか。
Was there as much narration before? I don't remember having to narrate as much. You know? I swear before, you know, they were mostly just like talking, but it feels like there's way more narration this time. But maybe it's just a path I'm on, or it's something about using the timeline? That would be
順平君
weird.
のバングルナンバーは5だったね。だとすると、順平君を加えるのであれば、僕ら4人の中から5を引かなければならないことになる。
I think I'm just crazy. Snake turned to Ace.
一宮さん、四つ葉のこと頼んだよ。
ああ、私は別に構わないが。
1 plus 4 equals 5. Thank you.
お兄ちゃん。
いいから僕の言った通りにするんだ。お前は他のみんなと一緒に4の扉へ。嫌だよ。わがままを言うんじゃない。
Snake's tone was harsh.
そんなの。
Tears welled up in Clover's eyes. She bit her lip and did her best to fight them off. Snake's expression softened and he put his arms around Clover. He held her close and whispered into her ear.
安心しろ。
It looked as though he's whispered 2 or 3 more words, but whatever they were, Junpei didn't hear them. Interesting.
なんだ。ニルスのやつ。
Couldn't help but wonder what the other man had said. Snake pulled back from his sister, his eyes kind and inquiring. Well, I mean, it could have been something personal that he whispered.
わかったよ。
Her voice was barely audible from where Junpei stood. Before long, new teams were
最後
assembled.
にもう一度確認しよう。5の扉に入るメンバーはセブン、ニルス、俺。7足す2足す5の合計は14。14の数字根は1足す4で5になる。4の扉に入るメンバーはヤシロ、サンタ、紫、一宮、四つ葉。
I've realized I've never actually used the calculator much in this game. Maybe it'll have me use it more, but So far, most of the digital route calculations have not been, too terribly difficult, so... But I guess it would be faster if I just put it into the calculator, because I think it just straight up gives you the route, right?
8たす3たす6たす1たす4の合計は22だ。22の数字根は2たす2で4になる。
Ah, it was so much better when we had so many options.
というわけだが、これでいいか？
異論はないぞ。
やろ
よし。それじゃあ。
Alright, this will be cool. Seven, Snake, and Junpei scanned their numbered bracelets in quick succession. The screen of the red showed 3
あとはレ
asterisks.
バーを下げるだけか。よし。
Alright, we gotta find the dead.
それじゃあ、行ってくるよ。
Junpei glanced around one last time, his hand resting on the lever of the red.
はい。気をつけてくださいね。
Concern was written plainly across her face. Junpei looked her in the eye and gave what he hoped was a reassuring nod. He pulled the lever. Ba-da-da-da. With the sharp clack of a lock releasing, the door swung
開い
open.
た。
Ahead of them in the small hallway were the pitiful remains of the ninth man.
ひでえありさまだな。
これが、あの9番の男なのか。
For a moment, Junpei froze. Try as he might, his eyes would not leave the corpse, and his feet would not leave the floor. Seven, too, seemed paralyzed. Snake, on the other hand, seemed unconcerned. He walked calmly down the bloody hallway and only stopped when he realized his companions were not following.
血の中を平然と。
How can you... Well?
僕を殺すつもりなのかい？扉が開いている時間は9秒しかないんだよ。
Yeah, exactly. like, come on, I know it's a grisly scene and stuff, but, we gotta go, kinda. It's gonna be nice to actually spend some more time with Snake, because we really never got any time with him before. He hadn't even bothered to turn around. His head was, at most, slightly cocked towards one shoulder.
すまない。
行くぞ。
Junpei and Seven looked at one another, nodded, and threw themselves through the door. As they did, a cold tone sounded from the left wrists of all three men. Yeah, I mean, Snake had the benefit of not having to actually see it. I would still be kind of careful about where I'm walking, like, to make sure I don't, like, step on viscera or something. I would still be a little bit careful with that, because I don't want to step on a, random piece of flesh or something, but you might just be blood smear and that's it. Seven and Junpei looked down at their bracelets. On both of them and on Snake's, a red skull had flickered to life.
カウントダウンが始まりやがった。
They had scarcely processed this information when... With a metallic slam, the numbered door behind them swung shut.
扉が。
退路は断たれたということか。あとは解除装置を見つけない限り。
おい、出たどこだ。
The fear and urgency in Seven's face reflected what all three of them
ど
felt.
こって。
落ち着いて、周りをよく見て。
Yeah, I don't remember having to pepper in the narration before.
ああ、わかってるよ。
Junpei spun around, searching desperately for the dead. He found it easily enough. It was on the wall next to the closed door labeled 5.
ここだ。
As he yelled, he struck the scanner with his hand. The other two scrambled to follow suit. As soon as they finished, Snake threw the lever down.
<sighs> 止まったみたいだな。
Yeah, because before it was happening in like the little things down here. It wasn't like actually written across the screen like this, because that was part of the reason I was struggling so much with like when they were doing their narration, but maybe that's in different scenes. I'm probably crazy. Oops. As he spoke, Junpei wiped the sweat from his forehead with a trembling hand.
ヒヤヒヤさせてくれるぜ。
A muscle stood out in Seven's neck, and the corners of his mouth were twitching.
純平くん
They could hear anxious voices, muffled but distinct, from the other side of the door.
ああ、大丈夫だ。
June just only caring about me.
起爆送信機は止まったよ。
Oh, I can't see your smug expression. I kinda see a little smug right there, but you're covered up. They heard relieved sighs, and even through the door, the three men could feel the tension disperse.
それじゃあ、俺たちは先に行くぜ。お前らも気をつけろよ。
I'm imagining when it was on the DS, this was a bit more elegantly done. Because, yeah, currently their portraits and stuff are covered by this. And, like, yeah, I do feel like this is different presentation than it was before. Before they had, like, little, you know, like, I don't know, like little dialogue boxes down here while their character spoke, I swore.
わかったわ。
了解だ。
I'm gonna have to rewatch an old video to make sure I'm not crazy.
言ったか。
They heard footsteps moving away, and before long they were alone again.
さてと、
Junpei looked around.
この通路は行き止まりか。
The hallway ended roughly 20 or 30 feet from where they stood.
この壁、動いたりとか。ダメだ、びくともしない。
なあ、こっちに扉があるぞ。
To the left, however, was a wooden door that looked positively inviting by comparison. In the middle of it was a plaque that read First Class.
一等選出か。
らしいな。
入ってみよ
Hey, we got First Class!
う。それじゃ、行くよ。
おう。
Without hesitation, Snake opened the door and stepped inside. Seven followed closely behind him. Junpei moved to follow them as well, but... He stopped, just short of the threshold, and looked back, not knowing why.
見るまいとは思っていたけど。
Lying in the small hallway was a man's body. Or at least what was left of it. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of wondering if there was any of that left. He tried hard to avoid looking at the grisly scene, but it just wouldn't leave his mind.
ひどすぎる。もう形も何もあったもんじゃないな。
What had once been a man's internal organs now looked like so much vomit, as though something had chewed up and spit out the better part of his torso. It was hideous, but worse still, it was cruel. It was hard to believe the thing on the floor had once been human. The black pool of thick blood, the lumps of glistening flesh spread across the floor, the awkward, twisted tangle of shredded intestines, the head wrenched to some grotesque, unnatural position.
これはあの男が身につけてたものか。
The man's glasses lay next to his head. The lenses were cracked and the frame bent and distorted. And next to the glasses lay a bracelet, the number 9 still displayed on its
ゴー
face.
グルが外れてる。そうか。確かゼロの書き置きに。
最後に番号を外す方法について教えよう。それは2つしかない。1つはこの船から脱出すること。もう1つは心拍数がゼロになること。外に出るか、はめている人間の心臓が停止すれば、ラムは自動的に外れるようになっている。
I wonder if you could, like, technically do something to, like, make your heart stop beating for, like, just long enough to disable the bracelet, and then you could get it off and get out of here. Although I think that would be incredibly hard to do / not even feasible. I mean, I think people have had their heart stop beating and come back to life before, effectively. I mean, like defibrillators and stuff. That's kind of what their whole deal. Yeah, I don't know a ton about this stuff, but it would be very hard to pull off, I think, regardless. But I wonder if someone like that was taking part in this in this game, if they had like a heart attack or something, their heart stopped beating and they got like defibbed. If there was a defibrillator around, I'm assuming that would get them out of the bracelet.
死んだからバングルが外れたんだ。でもここまでぐちゃぐちゃになるんじゃな。あれが元は人だったっていうのか。
Suddenly, Junpei felt his stomach convulse and a knot of muscle gripped his throat.
想像しただけで吐きそうだ。もう行こう。
Ugh, I hate when your throat cramps up like that. Clapped his hands over his mouth and ran to the first class cabin. The atmosphere changed immediately. The room was gorgeous, and despite the apparent age of the ship, none the worse for wear.
あいつらはどこに？
He looked around. Seven and Snake were nowhere to be seen. There were 2 doors on the right side of the room. He opened the one on his right and went through.
この先か？
On the other side of the door was a short hallway. He jogged down the hallway, opened the door at the other end, and peeked through. There they were, to his right, busy examining something.
どうしたんだ？
He stepped through the door and walked towards them.
見ろよ、これ。ドアにわけのわからねえ装置がついてやがる。
赤いランプがついてるな。ロックがかかってるのか？
そうらしいね。
他に出口は？
ざっと調べてみたが、なさそうだ。
ってことは、このドアを開かない限り。
ああ、先には進めないってことになるね。
Junpei stepped away from the door and looked around the room.
ここは、ベッドルームみたいだな。
Yeah, it does, and that's a sick canopy.
さっき、最初に入った部屋は、リビングだろうね。
とにかく、あのドアを開く方法を探そう。さあ、行動開始だ。
Alright, escape. It's probably a fantastic spot to end the episode, because, yeah, I don't want to start a puzzle right now. But, we will see. First class cabin. Alright. Definitely going to save right there. And, prologue is not where I want to save. Yeah, that has my completed ending. God, there's a few, huh? Alright. So now I just want to check to see if I'm crazy about my previous videos or not. Okay, I went back and looked at my previous videos, and the only thing I can really find that's different is all the videos I looked at when it kind of had like the little text box conversations, we were in adventure mode, and I noticed most of like the stuff that I've been seeing, we've been in novel mode, so maybe I'm just not as used to novel mode and that's it. But it's like, instead of things being portrayed in like first person and we're getting everything that Junpei sees, it seems like there's like a, like, you know, like an omniscient presence that's detailing the events to us, which is different. It's like completely different person, I guess, like perspective, basically. And we're getting some extra details, so I'm like, it could be something that was just added in like on repeat playthroughs so you could get some more context, you know. There's definitely games that do that on repeat playthroughs. I've already mentioned one this episode. But it might just be the different modes that I'm not used to, so. Alrighty, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time for some more